Welcome back to Overtime here on WOTM. We had some big developments in the world of the NFL. Julian Edelman has called it a career. He announced his retirement today. Him and the Patriots have obviously been synonymous with each other. He's won 3 championship games with the New England Patriots. Here is Julian Edelman right now. Before we dive into his career, here's Julian Edelman in his own words talking about his retirement with New England and from the NFL.
Nothing in my career has ever come easy. And no surprise, this isn't going to be easy either. Now, I've always said, I'm going to go until the wheels come off. And they finally have fallen off. Due to an injury last year, I'll be making my official announcement of my retirement from football. It was a hard decision, but the right decision for me and my family. And I'm honored and so proud to be retiring a Patriot.
So Julian Edelman calls it a career. He's 35 years old, and we'll take a look at some of his highlights. He was one of the best players in New England history. You kind of take a look at Wes Welker and Julian Edelman. Basically, those two guys that kind of occupy those slot positions for both Tom Brady and this past year for Cam Newton. As you think about Julian Edelman and his career, what are some of the things that stand out to you? And I'll ask you a big question a little bit later on, but what are some of the things that you remember about old J.E.?
Well, he's clutch. He was a guy, if you remember, one of the things that really stood out for me about Edelman is he was a guy like a Steve Largent. Largent was a guy who every time on third down, you knew he was going to get the ball.
Right.
And what made Edelman so special is he would kind of get lost in the middle of the crowd, but he never really dropped the ball, and he could hold on to it and get really stuck hard.
Right.
He was just a tough guy, and I don't know if he gets a lot of credit for being tough, but sometimes if you're small and you're white, people tend to not think that much of you or overlook you, especially in the NFL when you're going up against some of these monsters and some of the middle linebackers are going to hit you. But he never was afraid. If you got to go over the middle and catch the ball in the NFL, that he consistently did, that is a tough role to play. One game that really stands out is the 2018 AFC Championship game in Kansas City, where they had to convert a number of third downs in the fourth quarter and overtime. Every time Brady needed a reception, he went to Edelman, and Edelman made some really tough catches. And then, of course, you have that great catch that he made in the Super Bowl against Atlanta, where he's arguing with that. No, I caught it. Look. And I think he brought a little bit different than some of the other guys his size.
Right.
Because he was not only tough, but he made big plays in big games. And you knew he was never afraid to have the ball thrown his way. Some guys get a little crocodile arms when it comes time to big games. Not this guy.
Exactly. His entire 12-year career was spent with the New England Patriots. One of the things that really stood out to me when you take a look at some of his stats, he has 118 postseason receptions. That's second behind the GOAT. Behind Jerry Rice, who has 151. Okay, so you take a look at his overall numbers. He has 620 catches. Obviously, one of the best receiving yards in Patriots history, and one of the better ones in NFL history, over 6,800 yards. The big question for you, Mark, is that good enough to get to Cooperstown? To get to Canton, different Hall of Fame.
I might get in both places. I don't know. Yeah.
He came in as a former quarterback at Kent State, ended off as a 3-time world champion. You mentioned all the big moments. Is he a Hall of Famer in your opinion?
Yeah, also second most receiving yards postseason history, 14 behind the GOAT. And in Patriot history, Stanley Morgan, Rob Gronkowski, and Wes Welker, those are 3 really good players. Right. Patriot fans, those are legendary. Stanley Morgan, before the Patriots really became something, was like, represented the entire Patriot wide receiving history. I think he is, because you take a guy like Lynn Swann. Lynn Swann, you look at his career numbers, they don't really stand out at you, but he made big plays in big games. I mean, against the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, all you see is Lynn Swann making great catches. Against the Raiders in the postseason, going deep, him and John Stallworth. And then when they opened up the game a little bit in '78, he was able to put up a little bit better numbers. But I would put Edelman that way, and he put up better numbers than Lynn Swann did, and he made, he won 3 Super Bowls. Him and Joe Namath are the only 2 offensive players to be named Super Bowl MVP without actually scoring a touchdown.
Exactly, and I think it kind of hits on that. And he had a great game this year in Week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks. And you see Cam Newton and him really kind of meshing. And one of the things that I think was kind of synonymous with both Tom Brady and Cam Newton. They were able to find Julian Edelman, and he got really comfortable with them. I think that's part of the reason why he was able to be such a go-to, reliable receiver for those guys, whether it was zone, whether it was man. He's always able to find the hole, find an opening, get open, and obviously give us a whole lot of postseason moments. Time will tell if he will, number one, actually retire, if he'll go down Tom Brady down to Tampa and see his boy Brady
you never
down
know,
there.
yeah.
He might come out of retirement. We saw that with Gronk. We'll see. If not that, we'll also see if he'll make it over to the Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame ceremony. We'll have time to see if that actually transpires. Well, coming up next year in overtime, we will close up shop with a final word and closing thoughts coming up next. Hey, Jazz, if you want to keep it easy, we could just stay on 2 the whole time, and we'll just sign off. I got 15 seconds down here. Is that okay with you, Keith?